you have that time in your childhood where your brain is like buying into all these values and stuff that is being taught to you. And so if you don't have the parenting of like, and I didn't have the parenting, my dad wasn't really around and my mom was basically working 3 jobs so that we didn't look like anyone different in our community, right?
Welcome to the Let's Not Sugarcoat It podcast,
where every week we bring you real, raw, and unfiltered conversations
designed to motivate and inspire you on your journey through motherhood, relationships, and career.
We're your hosts, Alex
and Bella.
Thanks for spending this time with us.
Let's get into it. Welcome, welcome. It is a lovely morning. It's not. It's actually quite great.
We've had a rough
But we have a very lovely sunshiny lady in the house.
Woohoo.
Anita Parker is a dynamic force in the realm of personal development, not craving, because we're talking about food just a minute ago. So now,
like a
carving her
slip.
niche as a coach and speaker with an unwavering commitment to empowering others and creating lasting impact. As a multi-passionate entrepreneur, she seamlessly weaves her diverse skills and experience into a tapestry of inspiration and guidance.
Good job.
Oh my God, I'm on a roll. I know. Look at me.
Wow, Sanella, I hope you're listening.
Yeah, listen to this one because she's always giving me a hard time because my reading skills, with a keen understanding of the transformative power of coaching, Anita dedicates herself to helping individuals unlock their full potential. Her coaching philosophy is rooted in fostering self-discovery and resilience, guiding her clients on a journey of personal growth. As a seasoned speaker, Anita takes center stage, yes, she does, ladies and gentlemen, to share her insights of empowerment and the art of creating meaningful change. Her majestic presence, it is magnetic, but I do want to say majestic.
Okay, majestic.
Majestic presence. It is also very magnetic, and authentic storytelling captivates audiences, leaving a lasting imprint. Welcome, Anita.
Thank you, ladies.
So good to have you.
Oh my gosh, where is she? Who's Anita Parker?
Yeah, I know.
Who is she?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, yeah, because we thought we'd dive in by being like, tell us about yourself. Because the biggest thing we always hear is people are like, Anita, she just came out of nowhere. But then you're telling us you've been here for 18 years. So tell us the story of Anita.
Yeah. It's really quite interesting. I was born in Toronto, outside of Toronto, actually. And I always felt really misplaced there. Like it wasn't really home. I felt out of sorts. As a teenager, I would spend my summers in Vancouver. And at 12 years old, I was like, I am moving to BC. Vancouver for sure. This place is incredible. And what ended up happening was an opportunity came in Kelowna in 2006. And at the time, I had a 20-month-old and a baby on the way. I was 8 months pregnant, and I came to beautiful Kelowna. And at the time, I was a dental hygienist. So my career in dentistry was 26 years, and I always knew it was meant for more. And I knew that from a very, very young age, but I just didn't know how it was going to come to surface because I could only empower people in the dental industry so far.
Right.
And it was like, I'm just waiting to be shown what it's going to be. And so I've been here, for 18 years working away. And in 2014, I went through a huge life change. I separated and divorced my children's father. It was amicable. We actually went out and celebrated, but we came here for a better life for our kids. And we just both evolved in very different ways. We created this incredible lifestyle. And it's quite interesting because everyone thought we were this power couple, doing this, doing that, opening a business, having multiple, properties, etc. And what happened is that, yes, we were powerful, but we did not become powerful together as husband and wife. A lot of ego started happening. And yeah, so it was just in that moment, by 2015, when everything was kind of finished up, I ended up diving into a yoga teacher's training and met my dear friend Pam Rader, which has been on she's been on your
Mm-hmm.
podcast, and she just taught me so much more on how to show up as a better human, a better mom, a better sister, a better friend, and I became more and more curious of like, hey, like, what am I gonna do? Just can you at that time in that stage of my life, I was like, you want that rushing, like, just show me now. I
Yeah.
wasn't ready.
Show me it right now.
Right
Yeah.
now, my looking back, my central nervous system would have not have been able to like take on what I'm doing now today. So, yeah, a few years went by, and then it's so interesting because I said I would never remarry. Famous last words.
Right.
And so I met my now husband, who is, that man is my biggest cheerleader, supporter, and such an incredible husband, father. And he has been such an amazing mentor for the world of entrepreneurship. He's grown successful multi-million dollar businesses in Alberta. And interesting is that when I met him, I could care less that, he was in the restaurant industry. I had created a great lifestyle for my family. And I, even, when our family divided, and it was like, yeah, I don't, and he wasn't boastful by any means, but it was like, my mind wasn't open. And so I was just like, whatever. And so then I went with him to Fort McMurray, because that's where the businesses are. And he's been in that community for almost 30 years now. And when I got there, I mean, you guys hear me talk about Fort Mac. It is an exceptional business community. I'm like, I remember going to this gala, and my husband's business at the time was the diamond sponsor for this gala. And it was like, these people band together like it's insane. And I've never had that experience here because I very lightly had my toes into entrepreneurship here with my former spouse. And I was like, whoa. So what I quickly became to learn was that he really used the platform of his restaurants as a stage to really give back, philanthropy, be the change for the community. And I was like, I was just like, I landed. I am here. And he was just continuously empowering me. I mean, you guys know what I'm like. I love to chat and get to really know people, like really look into your eyes and know you. And then I'm like, I get to make a big difference here with my man. This is amazing. And so that for me was like the beginning of like where I was going.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's cool. I have so many things to ask. I'm like, oh, where do I start? But
start from the beginning.
From the beginning. Well, I think I have lots of business questions, but one thing that I was thinking about the other day, which you just said you and your ex-husband ended amicably. You've actually really inspired me to let shit go and be more amicable in my relationship with my kid's dad. And we actually had a barbecue all together. And I was thinking about how you said you guys had Sunday dinners together. Him and his wife came for Christmas. I just think you've created a really beautiful relationship with that. And how do you feel like you did that, or did it just come naturally? Or
well, Alex, one thing I would change about that, and I will talk about it, is I really feel like kids should stay in the home and parents should come and go. I feel like if I could, and I don't often say I'd ever want to redo something, what would I would do different? That is the one thing in my life I would do different. 100%. Kids should not be put through the back and forth. And I know it's not always the experience. Like we can't financially do that. We could have actually. We were in that position. And so that's the one thing. And I think the kid's dad and I were just like, they're first and foremost. So yeah, for like that first period of time, it was like he was coming for Sunday dinners. We wanted the kids to know that, hey, we're here for you, both of you, still going to like, they were both competitive athletes, still going to things together. It was really quite lovely. And so, yeah, we were celebrating some of the kids' birthdays together with his partner. And then, Andy came onto the scene in 2017, and it was just like, it's like he's been here the whole time, and everyone gets along. Um, we actually had my two bonus daughters. We had their mom and her partner over too. They're just great humans. And the fact that we can all get along and show the kids that this is also available, I think is really important. So, and it gives the kids a sense of the earth beneath their feet is steady. And the kids need that. I didn't have that growing up. I definitely in my childhood, I had no idea watching my mom, I was going to use all of her tools in my life. And so she was a single mom. She raised three of us. My dad left. And so she never spoke a bad word about my dad, not even to this day. They're still friends. It's crazy. She was setting me up for, my future. I had no idea.
Yeah, right. Yeah, amazing.
But that feeling of uncertainty and just like, I remember as a kid, always my stomach being upset and, trying to, I would be sick so I could stay home just so I can get any time because I didn't know if my dad was going to be there or not because he would come and go kind of thing. So it was like, I wanted something so different for my kids. And so that was really, that was really important to us. And I had those conversations with their dad. Like, we really need them to know we're here from them. Like, regardless if we're apart, we have to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think powerful. I think it's amazing that you were able to create that for your kids. I don't think there's a lot of couples that possibly can because it's one or the other spouse, right? And depend on what the reasons are for splitting up, because people, when you said you were a powerful couple, right? So you were growing, but not together. You were growing apart.
Yes.
But there was an understanding because you had that respect. I'm just assuming for each other. And that you were able to, have those conversations because of your growth and because you had that respect. So it's, I guess not the question, but it's what would your advice be for people going through this type of separations that may not be in that situation that you guys were, lucky enough to cultivate?
Yeah. For me, sharing wisdom, I think, is really important. I try never to give advice, but I can only share my own experience of, I think, I love the word ego, edging God out is really, I remember Wayne Dyer saying that and I'm like, whoo. And we all to some level have ego. And I think because the kids' dad and I had done a lot of self-development stuff together, if it's possible to remove the ego because someone's hurt, right? Someone got hurt. Someone, you grow apart. It's really putting all of that aside of the kids have to come first, regardless of that spouse, walked out or, wasn't emotionally available, whatever it might be, was married to their work, whatever it is. I'm just throwing things out there. When you breed resentment, it is toxic, literally toxic for your body. So I guess the question is do you want to fill your body with poison?
Yeah.
If you could just try and remove yourself from like, oh, he's this, she's that, like it's actually irrelevant. It really is. And just being honest with like the reality of like this happened and what can we do to move forward for the children?
Right.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Like that's the naked reality is this. We grew apart. He did this. I did this. Like, and be really honest about what you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Own your
that's a
side of the
look in the
street,
mirror.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
look at your side of the
Yeah.
street, clean up your dishes. I looked at myself. And I still look at myself of like when anything in life is evolving and it's like, Anita, what is this really for you? What is this about? As soon as I get that feeling, I'm like, okay, so like, let's look at this. So I guess that would be a really important tool. It's just anger is there's enough anger going out in the world. Why do you want to subject yourself to more if you have the control? Because we do actually all have the control.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I remember Andy saying, when things there'd be some tension about a situation. He said, I just can't believe how you handle that. I'm like, I'm not giving my power to anyone.
Yeah.
It took me my whole life to get the power that I have today.
You're like, so I'm not giving this
It's like,
away.
I'm not- yeah,
No, thank
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like next. So because it does level out, like
Yeah.
it does pass. Everything passes. So
Yeah, we were in a
Yeah.
church last Sunday, which we never go, but I listened to the sermon for the first time in many, many, many years.
yeah.
You're like, actually, listen.
Actually, I did actually listen. And because it's on this topic, he did say, what are you willing to, like, if God or Jesus showed up and he said, okay, follow me now, what would it be that those things that would hold you back, like the fears, the stuff, the materialistic stuff, the anger, like what would it be? The power is in surrendering that, all that stuff that is not necessary in your life, which is the resentment, the anger, the blame, the shame. And I also went to the psychic fair and they said, put it in a bowl and throw it away.
Love it.
I love it.
So it's either way, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, it's just that surrendering all of that and giving it away and not giving that your power away with it.
Absolutely.
So true. And then your favorite guy, I don't know if you've listened to it yet, but I was on a walk yesterday and I was listening to Lewis House, and his episode was all about, he had this psychologist on and she was like, tell yourself better lies. Because we tell ourselves lies anyway. We're like, oh, I could eat a horse. None of these are true.
No.
So why not say, I'm a powerful human being. I am somebody who makes impact on people's lives. Why not make a new lie to ourselves, which then becomes your truth, and you're not filling your head with like negativity and poison all the time.
I mean, my 5 a.m. wake up calls. I mean, today was 3:24, but whatever. Laying there and just having those talks to yourselves are so powerful. I was so angry. I think the hormonal thing is kicking in too.
Yes.
I was so bloody angry on Saturday. My children told me they had the best day ever with me. I mean, they've had best day evers before, but they had so much fun. I took them to the psychic fair. We went to the cat cafe, petted a bunch of cats, and all I wanted to do is rage and scream, and I didn't because I had so much pent up, like, I don't know where it was. I think the anger was from sadness. Like we unpacked it, but I was just so ragey. And then I even, came home, Lee was home, and I said, I'm just letting you know, I am very angry today. I am raging inside. And then he acknowledged, he's like, I acknowledge you for working on that and not taking it out on like the family. Because I'm like, I wanted to take it out on all of you today, but I didn't want to give my power away because I am in control of me. I am in control of who I show up and how I show up for those around me. And I ask myself every day, am I like, what kind of mom do I want to be for my kids? What kind of wife? What kind of daughter for my mom? What kind of friend for my friends? And that is because my 5 a.m. talks to myself, those lies that you're like, you are amazing, but I feel like shit, but I'm still amazing, right? So I'm going to make others feel amazing.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah,
I
so
get
true.
that.
Oh,
It's how we talk to our subconscious is so important. And I, like you, when I wake up, I start my meditation and my affirmations. So I am talking to myself respectfully and loving myself. And when I step out of integrity during the day and I'm hard on myself, my husband will say, I don't like how you're treating my wife. And I'm like, thank you for the reminder. Yes, it's practice. And I think more and more people are learning that the way you speak to yourself, even if you're not verbally saying it out loud and you have it in your mind, it's showing up in your life. We're learning that more and more. So I'm very intentional with my thoughts. And when something does come in, it's literally like a clicker or a turning of the page of like, okay, next, because this is BS. It's imposter syndrome. It's self-sabotage. And I'm actually not subscribing to it right now. So bye-bye.
So I do the same. I was like, the thoughts and the negative thoughts. I'm like, oh, thanks for showing up. Now you're gone. I am not gonna play into this. I am not gonna have this limiting belief. I am not going to pretend this is okay. It's not. And like you said, bye-bye.
And don't you think it's powerful too when you realize you've been doing that and then it kind of shows up in the form of a little like child? Like the other day, Evie said something to me and I was like, yeah, I don't really think that about myself. And she's like, well, you're welcome to believe that, but that's not what I believe. I was like, oh, self-talk works all around, right?
What a teacher she is for you.
She is a teacher.
Yeah.
So tell us, because we talked a little bit just before we started. You're both a little bit on a journey with the hormones. You're on a health kick. You're on a health kick. I'm starting to be on a health kick. I know I'm off the dry January, on and off. I'm
sure.
So, how is that affecting your life and all the things that you have going on? Because we're women in our 40s where, we are in our prime and finding ourselves having that midlife awakening. We have a lot to give, but then the other stuff shows up.
Yeah. So that's been like, I actually think I've been in perimenopause for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's just been undiagnosed. And it's been wild. Especially when you're in the thick of like helping to lead others and empowering them and elevating them. And I don't take any of that lightly, in all the multiple businesses that I do. And it was like when I saw some of that, like the dark thoughts that were coming into my mind last January, and I was like crying at everything and just a sense of sadness and being like, I could see why people consider suicide. I knew I was in a bad place. Like I knew something was wrong. And so I ended up seeing a lady who does bioscans, which are huge in Europe. We're so behind in the times here. And she just read every system in organ in my body and all the things. She tweaks stuff for me. So it's been a bit of a journey. I'm definitely in a great place now. And in that, I'm just kind of unlearning and relearning stuff. Some of it's hormones, some of it's, I think a lot of past trauma that I thought I worked through, which I did work through. Let me be a little more clear on that. But it comes back because there's another piece. And so for me, like, I'm not a drinker, which is, interesting. And I share this on one of my platforms with Wine Women Wellbeing. Those events have actually nothing to do with wine. They have everything to do with bringing exceptional humans together to actually create deeper connections and collaborate together and do amazing things. And so I share honestly on that channel and in front of people, like I don't really drink wine. And I don't really drink. And, I think I had a half a glass of wine on New Year's and that's about it. For me, I also I like to be in control of my life in the sense that I want to show up to my life in a way that I am doing the things that I'm passionate about, that I love doing. I don't want to feel like crap from having a hangover. And, for me, looking back at some of the things that transpired in my childhood of like my father leaving, surviving years of child abuse, and, you know, and actually being raped by my friend's brother. Like, these are all things that are resurfacing now in my life. And I'm like, I think in the part of my life, especially my teen years, like early, I would say like at 13, I was already starting to drink. By 15, I was, starting to do drugs. Like, and I know these are things that happen, but I was literally doing all these things to mask all the pain of years before. And so as I was getting older, I was, especially I think I barely drank in my 30s. I was raising my kids, like, and the mom's like, let's get together and let's have wine together. And it was like, is that culture? And I was just like, okay. Like, I would have drinks and stuff. And now it's like, I'm not interested, because for me, it brings up a really shit time of masking stuff in my life. I don't ever want to do that again. And I'm just not interested in using, alcohol or any kind of substances or any kind of addiction for that matter, gambling, to mask anything. So I think because of those traumas, I've struggled pretty much most of my life with eating disorders. And it's like, it's all from trauma, unhealed trauma. And I'm just like, I'm going into my 49th year now. In my 50s, I want to be the best version of myself. And it's why I've been doing the work for decades, to show up and be like here to help men and women, because men go through this stuff too. I want to make that super clear. And children, of like, hey, there are different ways and there are different tools to navigate through these situations. So those traumas never fully go away. You just learn how to work through them. For me, Alex, I know you know this because you heard me speak at a women's conference. I actually have forgiven and have deep love for the person that abused me through my childhood. I actually was able to confront them, talk to them, have an understanding of like, hey, like, what happened? This happened. And the same thing happened to them. So it was like there was a lot of generational stuff that we actually really worked through together. And then there was space for forgiveness and love. And that's not everybody's experience. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm navigating. All the things that have happened have made me the human I am today, so that I can show up as someone who can put a hand out, who can help someone, on the walk of life. It's probably a big reason why I became a coach. It was like, I want to help people, I want to care for them, not carry them.
Yes, fair, yes.
Okay. Yeah. And because I wish I had that, there's so many incredible ways to help people now. In my generation growing up, it was like, you don't talk about things. And now I talk about the things.
Right.
Because I want that out of me.
Right. Instead of like bottling it down. Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
I mean, well, I want to first and foremost acknowledge you for sharing and being so open with us here. We appreciate, you letting us into and are listening into your world. And I kind of can relate with the working on things and things popping up at the most inconvenient time. That's what it feels like for me. And because I started my journey, which I didn't know I had so much to unpack, because we don't know our blind spots unless we actually start looking, looking in the mirror, looking at our reflections, and then seeing into those dark, deep corners and acknowledging them. Because we're really good, like you said, Alex, telling ourselves lies and justifying the things that we do. But then when you truly look in the mirror at all your parts, the light and the dark, especially the dark, is when the transformation comes. It's because you're able then to really, truly change that narrative and understand who you are and change who you want to be.
Absolutely. And that was the thing for me, is like, I really wanted to change who I was. You have that time in your childhood where your brain is like buying into all these values and stuff that is being taught to you. And so if you don't have the parenting of like, and I didn't have the parenting, my dad wasn't really around, and my mom was basically working 3 jobs so that we didn't look like anyone different in our community, right? And so the parenting, and she's an incredible human, the parenting wasn't there. So I didn't know how to use my voice. I didn't know how to be a stand and have the confidence. And so that didn't come really actually until my teen years. Like my brothers, I have 2 older brothers, we raised each other really at the end of the day. And so it was just believing in the system of like, hey, we have a presence, and we did, and they did. And it's interesting, in high school and in elementary school, like, yes, I was popular. However, I hung out with everyone. And so I wanted to help others be seen and heard, even at a young age, which is interesting looking at that now, because I wanted to be seen and heard, and it's a reason why I ended up like working my butt off to earn myself a scholarship to a performing arts school, which didn't end up taking the scholarship because it had too much uncertainty. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have a paycheck if I do this. Obviously, I'm talented. I got this scholarship. I can be seen and heard, but I was meant to be seen and heard, not on the big screen or singing or any of that. I was meant to be in front of people, helping them, nurturing them, giving them, providing them tools, etc., and really just bringing humans together to make a difference.
I mean, I think you're so great at that. Like, one of the things I just really love about when you have an event, for example, you had that Women, Wine, and Wellbeing event that we went to not long ago, another one coming up, but you are just so great at highlighting everybody's business, what they're doing, their talents, their like area of strength. And I think that event was really powerful because I realized how many people I didn't know about, and it's so nice. It was just such a great,
just acknowledging
everybody.
Everybody was very,
I got a little emotional when you said that. I think for me, I literally, when you were saying that, it was like every time I do that, I feel like I'm hugging the 5-year-old Anita.
Aw.
So that's like, it's my mission to make sure people are seen and heard. And it's healing for me. And I choose these people because I believe in them and what they're doing. And it goes far beyond our community here in Kelowna. I've always heard, it's hard to get into this town. People are cliquey. I've never felt like that.
Me neither.
And then, or people will say, it's tricky in business. People are really close to there. And I'm like, now that I've opened the businesses in Alberta, but now that I'm doing this here and much more is coming, it's just like, I don't find that. And that is because, as you two know, we are attracting like-minded humans that care so deeply that we just keep attracting them, like daily.
I've never found that. I remember when we both moved here around the same time, and that's the message everyone would say around us. Oh, it's hard to get into things. It's cliquey.
So cliquey.
And I feel like I've never been in a business community so open, so many people all the time. So many people like, hey, I'm doing this. Why don't you come do this with me? Or let's do this together.
Yes.
And like, this is amazing.
And you know, like when you show up a certain way for people, and what I love is that you do show up for everyone that way. And how powerful that is, because as a little girl when I came here, I didn't really speak that. I know I still have an accent. I don't hear it, but
I love your accent.
And so I went to horseback riding camp for a week because I loved horses. And I was in this room, and there was these girls. I was, I think, 11, 12, so only a year and a half here in Canada. And obviously, accent was way thicker. I spoke Polish, German. I was thrown into English and then French. So I have accents in every language that I speak, FYI. And so I went to horseback riding camp, and I was bullied or made fun of for my accent. And you know, if it wasn't for the owner, he noticed that the girls were really mean to me because I sounded different, probably looked different. I came from like a refugee, so I didn't have all this stuff. You know, my glasses were so big; they were every time I smiled, the cheeks would move them back and back because my parents couldn't afford it, right? So we had to brush the horses, and it was time for lunch. Everybody's leaving, but the owner, he's like, Bella, stay back. I need to talk to you. He's like, I'm just going to tell you, your accent is the most beautiful thing about you.
Aww.
Don't ever change. At 11 and a half, those words changed my life.
Aww.
It did. So having people like you in the community is so empowering because one encounter, I don't even know his name. I don't know, like, it can really change a person's trajectory.
I'm getting emotional.
I know. Oh, we're all gonna cry. Yeah,
but this is
sure.
what
we're
doing together collectively.
Yeah.
Even the three of us being here.
Yeah,
I love that. Thank you for
sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Do not apologize for being you. I love hearing that. I'm sorry you went through that, but I love hearing you share. I love your voice. When I met you, I was like, first of all, captivated by your eyes. And then I was like, keep talking. Keep talking. So yeah, we're here very purposefully, my friends, to come together, to literally lock arms and make a difference that's going to go way far beyond our community. Way, like, this is just the tip of it. And we are continuing to bring and find those people. They're finding us. And what a gift that is to be of service. That has always and will forever be, so you said that thing, like, if God came and asked you to come with him.
Yeah.
I think because I grew up in a Christian home, I believe in God, the universe. I believe in all because I believe it's all one. If he came to me and said, come with me, for me, I would, because I know he's coming to me for a reason, for a bigger purpose, and that he's going to keep my family safe, but I need to go do the thing with him. That freaking excites me, actually, because I'm getting to make a bigger difference for the world. And that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
like, where do we go now? I think I know where to go. I mean, that was, amazing. Okay. So one of the things I've heard you say before, and maybe you can share a little on this, is, during COVID times, you realized that you were a terrific manifester of all things. And I love also, if maybe you can share, I know this is double question here, but one of the things that I've heard you speak about manifesting is, it's one thing to manifest, but it's another to be like, give me the tools I need to keep the thing that I've manifested or to keep this, etc. So
yes. Okay. My first introduction to manifesting was Wayne Dyer. I ended up meeting Wayne Dyer twice and got to spend time with him. He's since passed on. He is an exceptional man. The father of motivation, they call him, or called him. And I was going through a dark time. And I was like, that's after like I confronted, that divine intervention happened, had a bad car accident. It was like, there was a holistic practitioner I was working with in Toronto, and she introduced me to all of this stuff. And I was like, wow, okay. And at that time I was young. So I was like 25, and I was like, oh, I'm going to manifest this and I'm going to manifest. And all of it was coming, FYI. Yeah. Then when you get on stickier parts of your journey, when you're kind of going through the honey and it's thick and you're trying to walk through it, I was like, well, I'll just go manifest. And so I would, except those things, like all the success that came when I moved here, and like it was going, all came with a massive cost. So the thing is that with manifesting, you got to be crystal clear on what you're manifesting. Not like, hey, I want, $70 million. And because there's so much negative crap that's attached to that, it's like being really specific of like, hey, yes, you want to say it's the 70 million. Let's just use that as an example because people can be more relatable to money. What are you doing with that money? Who are you going to help with that money? How is your life going to look with that money? Mentally, physically? How are you going to keep that money or multiply that money so you can leave a legacy? I take that really seriously. I'm here to leave a legacy for my family and in this world. And so I think that, manifesting now for me is like, I get really clear. Like I will write things down because I've manifested some huge things. So like in 2020, when I had to reinvent myself and I started that online business, I would write down every day, like I'm going to be a VP in this business. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get the trips. I'm going to get the car. Here's the thing. What I didn't write along with that was like retaining it. And so all of a sudden I had this massive following. I basically built a brand for my own name doing this business, and it grew. And I had people all over the world that I was, chatting with, helping build the business, etc., blah, blah, blah. And I took no time on like, how am I going to maintain this? And the thing is too, is that when you're constantly being, hitting a goal, and you should hit goals. Let me be really clear on that. But when people are seeing you hit these landmarks all the time, and then, you're feeling like everyone's watching you because they are, they want to learn from you. And then it just became, my whole life became transactional. I lost the transformational, and I love to have transformational relationships. And it's like, oh, this is shitty. I don't like this. This is not who I am. This is not who I want to be. So for me, like, last year I had to really kind of look back at that and go, is this what I still want to do? Yes, I'm getting to help people, but this is not how I can be the best of service. So I didn't manifest that one properly. And the reason why I did it was I didn't, now looking back, is because I meant for way more than just doing that. And, it's cool because every time I have idea, I go to my husband, I'm like, what do you think about this? He's like, okay, let's go do it. Like, so it's been insane. Like I literally 2 years ago came home from the Manifest tour for Wine Women Wellbeing. And I looked at my husband, I said, I'm bringing this to Fort McMurray because Kelowna already had a branch director at the time.
Right.
I had never been to an event. I was at the event by accident that night. And I was like, I'm doing this. He's like, oh yeah, you are. I go, and she's going to be my friend. She doesn't know it, but she's going to be my friend. Yeah. And she's one of my dear friends now, the CEO and founder. And I remember last spring hiking up Knox with my friend. It was June, actually. And I'm like, all this stuff that I'm doing up in Fort McMurray with this branch and all the philanthropy that's happening, what we as women collectively are doing for our community. Actually, we have a lot of men that come to our events. I never say no.
Yeah.
Because everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
That's just how I roll. And we are shifting some things. So stay tuned for that. That's a little teaser for Wine Women Wellbeing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Things are shifting because we're evolving. And so I remember hiking Knox going, all that stuff I'm doing, I want to do in my backyard. This is Kelowna's my home. Like I want to, and I have so many friends in business here. And I'm like, why am I not in business here? And how am I going to make a difference here for this community? I said, it's going to happen. And a week later, I got the phone call from our founder, CEO, and my friend, Lisa Webb. And she said, what do you think about helping out with the Kelowna branch? I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. I'm doing this. And so, which ended up turning into that director passing me the torch. She's like, let's pass the torch to you. You love this community so deeply. And I thought I was going to move here. I'm not moving here. This does not make sense. Anita, go do the thing. And so I started in September of 2023 and we sold out that first event, and we've been selling out the events. I think there's one ticket left for Wednesday's event. And so much more is evolving with that. So now I'm very, very intentional about how I am manifesting how I can make an impact with other exceptional humans.
I love it.
It's not about Anita Parker. I'm just a small piece of it.
Right.
And you two are part of that journey, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just like,
We're on the train.
We're on the train.
I love it. And I love how you just full circled the entire podcast because we started off being like, people said, where's Anita been for the last 18 years? And then you're like, here's where I've been. And boom, I'm bringing it all to Kelowna.
I'm bringing it home.
I love it.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
So that's cool.
Yeah, no, I do. I love that whole, I've been one of those lucky people as well that when I start manifesting,
yes,
I do also manifest quite easily. But the last couple of years, especially last year, the intention behind the manifesting is so important. So you have to look at, okay, what do you actually want and why? The why behind what you're manifesting is so important. Is it going to serve others? Is it going to serve your family? What is your intention? Is it just because you want something, or are you going to make a difference?
Make a difference.
I love it. But Nita's always saying something along that line too, because she's like, you can want these things, but she's like, what's the why? What's the why? Because if it's ego feeding your thing you're trying to manifest, then boom, it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%. Well, it's happened to me. It's just like, so.
And then you won't attract those type of people that you want in your circle and that are going to also elevate, not you only, but those around, because you want that room full of like-minded individuals who are the change in the world that is so needed right now.
Yes.
It is so, there is a shift. There is a shift in how we're showing up. And the more people we touch, it's like a ripple effect. The more power it will have.
Yes.
The more we spread our wings, the more people will fly.
Yes.
So that's what I love about what we're all doing, because I do feel we are attracting like-minded individuals, people who are truly here to make a difference for others.
100%. And I love that
it.
so much. Like that just makes my heart. I'm just going to keep replaying that when I listen to this podcast, because that is what we're here for.
Yeah, I do. And I feel really like there's a vortex we talked about, with Bonita as well. There's this vortex here in Kelowna for some reason that we're all showing up. Why at this time? Why during like COVID, things are just shifting and we're all here together? Because I don't believe in chances. I do believe that we are meant to meet the people in our lives, whether for a minute or a lifetime. But there's a lesson in every encounter. And I'm just really tuning in on what that message is.
Totally.
So,
Ears are open.
Ears are open. What's that saying? Like a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And people can shift in and out of your life, which is so beautiful too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no right or wrong about that. It's purposeful. And I really honor that.
Yeah. And sometimes we're just not ready for the people that come in. But, give it some time. And, like you said, you had a friend. We all kind of on one of our podcasts talked about having friends and then growing apart or something happening and then going and doing the work and then coming back stronger.
Yes.
Because we needed that space. We needed the space for us to be able and open to change and to learn about ourselves and grow. But if we had been friends during that time, we wouldn't have had that space.
Right.
So, letting go and creating space for things to come in that we really need in our lives.
Oh, and the stories like we create ourselves about these relationships, like that friend you're talking about. I had this conversation with her not long ago because she kind of came back in my life. And then I was like, this is what I've always felt so guilty about in the demise of our friendship. And she's like, you've been carrying on to that for 20 years? And I was like, yes. And she's like, I am going to release you of this burden. Because I had my place in that relationship falling apart, as did you. And that is a lot to carry for 20 years. So I'm giving you permission to let that go.
Yeah.
And it was so healing, that whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we literally physically carry it.
Yeah.
Not just mentally, but like physically. For me, for sure. Like I know, like it's so interesting. We're very good storytellers. I'm like, I could have had some really great contracts with Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Yeah. I've been told that you are, by my counselor.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, wow, you must be an amazing storyteller.
Right.
I'm like, I am phenomenal.
Yes.
I should have a TV show.
100.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is totally. And who knows?
The
And one
creatives
day
of the world.
that's actually on my vision board.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
My sisters always make fun of me because I was like, my dad used to sometimes make us go to midnight mass at Christmas. And I was just like, Christmas Eve. And nobody loved doing it. It took so long. But I could just sit there and then they'd be like, why weren't you bored? And I was like, I made up this whole story. I was like, stuck in the 1920s. I was forced here by my husband. My sisters are like, wow.
Yeah.
Just storytelling.
Storytelling. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. But I can totally see us doing great things together.
Yes, I'm excited.
And I think we are, it's time for some rapid fire questions.
Oh, so we usually ask a few rapid fire questions.
Let's hear it.
I mean, okay, so if you can, looking at, and I know you said, your mom was obviously a fantastic parent, but looking back, is there one thing that maybe about either parenting style or, just a way of communicating that you would say, this is something that I've decided in my parenting that I'm going to do differently?
I think the biggest thing was like making sure we had the family time together, right? Because growing up, we didn't really have like Sunday dinners. And so I think when the kids were young, that was really important. Now it's tricky sometimes because they're working and stuff and school and such. But the family dinner and time for conversation was really important because I missed that growing up, So, and fun trips and getaways, which, there's no money to do those things. So literally since the kids were newborns, like we have been traveling to different places to have those experiences together. And we still do them, not as much as we used to. And so that would be, again, just that time, that quality time together. So I'm really grateful for that.
Nice.
I think we're too busy, and listen, I get it. My kids were competitive, in competitive sports, etc. You get so caught up in I got to get them, especially when they were younger. It was like taekwondo, dance, skiing. It was like go, 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 go. And those car rides actually
are so powerful.
Oh man, they're still so powerful. And our kids are like between 17 and 27 now. And it's just like still the car rides are huge. And there was no getting driven to school when I was a kid. There was no car rides to go do this or that. It was just like, survival kind of. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't sad.
No.
We had a lot of fun things and, we were a bunch of goofballs and stuff. We created our own fun, but Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality time for sure
Yes.
is important in my family as well. Especially the life lesson that I've learned is even though you're living together, because my parents moved in last year with
Right.
us, and then the year prior.
Right.
And then my dad suddenly passed. And what we took for granted is that because we lived together, we always thought we'd have the time.
Mm.
And then the time stopped.
Yeah.
So
Not
quality time is so important. It's, yeah.
Well, I see
Because,
you doing
yeah.
that. You're doing it very intentionally. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Anyways,
taking
yeah.
time. But yeah, we're going to make her cry again, guys,
Yeah.
twice in an episode. But also, okay, what's one of the biggest lessons that I know there's probably many, but like that one of your kids has taught you along the way that you were like, oh, this is a real aha moment for me?
Oh, I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
Oh, Laura. And today's her birthday. So
Well, happy birthday.
happy birthday, Laura. I remember my daughter holding my hand and trying to make me smile.
Mm.
And because she knew somehow that things weren't right, because she was pretty young when her dad and I split. I think she was like in grade 3 or 4. And she would try and make me laugh. And I'm like, I'm sticking around in this marriage.
Mhm.
My story about I'm doing this for the kids,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
which is nonsense.
Mm.
Looking back at it now, like I get it. You have to, do the things. And that it's so funny because I didn't leave my former spouse. I was going to stick it out and be unhappy just so I could be with the kids and not have to do the 1 week on, 1 week off, etc. It was like, again, divine intervention. He ended up leaving.
Mhm.
It was like the big guy said, you know what, Anita, if you're not going to walk away and do this, I'm going to do it for you.
Mm.
Right.
And so that's what happened. Now, here's the other side of that. When my husband and I got married, Laura asked if she could give a speech.
Mhm.
And this was almost 6 years ago now. And so she was like 13 at the time. And she gave this speech and was thanking, Andy and saying, I've never seen my mom smile or laugh so much in her life. Thank you for coming. And everyone
I'm
was
gonna
in
cry.
tears. Yeah.
Aw,
She's
that's
like,
beautiful.
thank you for coming into my mom's life and making her smile and making her laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful.
Oh, man.
Well,
okay, well,
It's
tell
Alex's time to
Yeah.
go.
Now I'm going to cry. Okay, well, I know we're supposed to wrap up, but I want to know one more thing and then tell the people where to find you.
Okay.
But if you could tell 20-year-old Anita just a piece of wisdom, what would you give her?
I would tell her she is beautiful, she is loved, she is enough, and she is worthy. And I tell that to her regularly, and I look in the mirror.
Nice.
It's yes. So that's what I would tell, and just hug her so much
Mwah.
Yeah.
because she's just God. Yeah, I know.
Love it.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where you can find me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, Anita Parker. No, actually, Anita Best Life. It used to be Anita Parker Best Life, but it's Anita Best Life. You can also find me. My website is about to launch, www.anitaparker.ca.
Okay.
And so on there, you can find all the upcoming things that are happening, where I'll be speaking next, different events. There's retreats coming. There's lots of cool stuff coming. So you'll want to find me on those 2 spots.
Okay, awesome. And we'll link it to this episode. So
Yeah.
thank you for being
Thank
here.
you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you, ladies, for
Yeah.
having me. This is such an honor to be here with both of you. I love what you're doing in the airwaves for human beings. You're really creating that massive impact to create space for others to have a voice. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Until
Okay.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and that you feel more empowered, moved, and inspired.
Be sure to check out the show's description and follow us on social media at Let's Not Sugarcoat It Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
Also, check out our YouTube channel where you can view and subscribe to our latest episodes.
What you have to say matters, so send us your feedback and ideas on what you'd like us to talk about so we can serve you better.
And remember, motherhood is a team sport.